Bonjour, good morning, bon matin. Je sais que c'est un anglicisme, mais c'est dur pour moi de ne pas le dire. First, I would like to recognize that we are gathered here today on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. Je voudrais saluer tous mes collègues du Parlement, de tous les partis politiques représentés à la Chambre des communes, ainsi que plusieurs sénateurs et sénatrices qui sont avec nous ici ce matin. Je tiens également à remercier l'organisation GreenPAC de m'avoir invité à ce déjeuner annuel qui rassemble d'importants défenseurs de l'environnement. Et j'aimerais vous faire part d'un certain nombre de mes réflexions ce matin sur la question particulièrement des changements climatiques. GreenPAC salue le travail de tous les parlementaires visant à promouvoir et à renforcer le leadership environnemental. Et depuis 6 ans, le programme des stages parlementaires pour l'environnement permet à de jeunes leaders de faire entendre leur voix sur la colline du Parlement. Aujourd'hui, beaucoup d'anciens stagiaires utilisent leurs connaissances pour promouvoir le changement tant sur la colline parlementaire qu'ailleurs. So to this year's parliamentary interns in the room with us today, I want to say welcome. But I would also like to say that you never know where you could end up. In my office, I have not 1, not 2, but 3 GreenPAC alumni working with me and helping me plow through, which is a very ambitious mandate letter that the Prime Minister has given me. So we need your energy and your ambition. This is a generational battle, and we all hope to hand a better world to people who will follow us. We've all felt the impacts, or have friends and families who've been affected by wildfires, floods, extreme heat, or drought. This summer's been painful. I was at an event in New York last month with West Kelowna Fire Chief Jason Brolin. Chief Brolin vividly described the trauma of fighting this summer's massive wildfires, of sending his team into danger, of fighting to protect homes and lives. He said it was, and I quote, a once-in-a-lifetime fire. Then he told us how it was, in fact, his second once-in-a-lifetime fire. This is only the beginning. Nearly every aspect of a young person's future will be affected by our changing climate. Their homes, jobs, transportation, food, water, health, security. Government has a big role to play, of course, but we all need to be advocates for a better future. And this is beyond recognizing the problem. We need the conviction to act upon them. Activism matters because real change happens when we come together to push boundaries. I learned early in the game that the science of climate change is not ideological. Obviously, there are policy differences. However, no party has a monopoly on good ideas, and no party or government can implement ambitious solutions on its own. There's a critical link between collaboration and success. Achieving Canada's climate goals for 2030 and 2050 and building a prosperous economy requires full participation from Canadians in all parts of the country and all sectors of the economy. All of us need to make sure that we're fully engaged with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis from inception to implement and beyond. That's a given. And our approach, it needs to be just as encompassing. That's why we're taking a society-wide, economy-wide, and multi-pronged approach. An approach that can be viewed as 3 mutually enforcing pillars. First, nature-based climate solutions. Because we recognize that protecting nature and fighting climate change go hand in hand. This includes our commitment to the new global biodiversity framework agreed at COP15, which we hosted in Montreal last December. And we agreed collectively to protect at least 30% of lands and waters by 2030, an important outcome from COP15 and our 2 billion tree program. And mobilizing financial support to implementing these goals domestically and helping countries in the Global South implement their biodiversity goals. And I would be remiss if I didn't conclude this section on nature-based solutions by sharing with you the news that in the last month alone, we've announced new conservation project in Canada that will represent 1 million square kilometers of protected lands in our country. That's 4 times the size of the United Kingdom. Dans le dernier mois seulement en matière de protection de l'environnement et protection des terres et des océans, nous avons annoncé plus d'1 million de kilomètres carrés de nouvelles aires protégées au pays. C'est 4 fois la superficie de la Grande-Bretagne. Second, there's the emission reduction plan. It lays out a roadmap to achieve our 2030 targets that include optimal cost-effective solutions. Dans notre plan de réduction des émissions de gaz à effet de serre, on retrouve tous les secteurs, que ce soit notre objectif de faire en sorte que 100% des véhicules légers vendus au Canada soient zéro émission d'ici 2035. Le volet final de cette réglementation-là sera déposé d'ici la COP28, que ce soit l'augmentation du nombre de stations de recharge, que ce soit toute la chaîne d'approvisionnement de l'électrification des véhicules, les minéraux critiques, les usines de batteries en Ontario, au Québec, les différentes composantes. Et ce sont des investissements historiques que nous voyons présentement au pays. Nous sommes en train de transformer l'industrie de l'automobile partout au Canada. It includes billions of dollars to support the transition to clean electricity, with clean, affordable, and a reliable grid, underpinning our ability to achieve a net zero emission economy by 2050. Decarbonization our grid is about jobs, not just for the next 5, 10 years, but for the next 30, 40, 50 years ahead of us. And as Pat said, it's about competitiveness, because the future is clean electricity, reliable, affordable, clean electricity. A net zero grid powering our businesses, electrifying heavy industry and transportation, and heating our buildings. Le plan de réduction des émissions de gaz à effet de serre se base également sur l'un des objectifs les plus ambitieux sur la planète de réduction des émissions de méthane du secteur du pétrole et du gaz. Déjà, d'ici 2025, au Canada, le secteur du pétrole et du gaz devra réduire ses émissions de méthane d'au moins 40%. Et d'ici la COP28, je présenterai un nouveau projet de règlement qui fera en sorte que le secteur du pétrole et du gaz devra réduire les émissions de méthane d'ici 2030 d'au moins 75%, ce qui en fait l'un des objectifs les plus ambitieux sur la planète. Et pourquoi mettre autant d'emphase sur le méthane? Comme vous le savez, évidemment, le méthane est un gaz à effet de serre très puissant. Et si, globalement, nous pouvons atteindre des objectifs ambitieux de réduction de méthane, c'est presque 1 degré Celsius de moins de réchauffement que nous pouvons éviter d'ici 2050. The Emissions Reduction Plan also leans on the clean fuel regulations to encourage biofuels and build out charging infrastructure. In addition to pollution pricing combined with quarterly rebates that return money back to families and funding for heat pumps and home retrofits. The question is not whether we can afford to cut emissions. In fact, cutting emissions and achieving greater energy efficiency are key to more affordable living for Canadians. And then there's the industrial measures such as the output-based pricing system, proceeds fund that support industrial initiatives that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and deploy clean technology and clean energy. Our 2030 emissions reduction plan builds on 7 years of hard work by Canadians, work that is paying clear dividends and will ratchet up through 2030. From 2019 to 2021, Canada has had the best emission reduction record of all G7 countries. Le troisième pilier est la toute première stratégie nationale d'adaptation du Canada, lancée en juin dernier, et le plan d'action pour l'adaptation du gouvernement du Canada qui l'accompagne. Nous continuons de réduire nos émissions, mais nous devons également nous préparer à faire face aux impacts des changements climatiques. Nous devons faire en sorte que nos collectivités soient plus résilientes face aux conséquences des changements climatiques. Nous devons améliorer nos processus de cartographie des inondations et des mécanismes de protection contre les événements de chaleur extrême. Et nous devons accroître notre compréhension des phénomènes de l'érosion et de la fonte du pergélisol. Nous devons également améliorer nos codes du bâtiment, nos systèmes de prévention des incendies et renforcer la résilience de nos infrastructures dans nos collectivités. In about a month, I look forward to leading Canada's delegation to the largest forum for global climate collaboration, COP28, which will take place in Dubai. The COP28 president has asked me to be a co-facilitator in Dubai to support some of the toughest negotiations. I've gladly accepted this task. Some of this work takes origin in Canada and Germany's effort to tackle how countries are stepping up to deliver up to $100 billion of climate finance per year. This funding will help developing countries mitigate and adapt to climate change. COP28, beyond the negotiations, will also be an opportunity to explore innovative solutions that can be translated into actionable strategies at home. It's an opportunity to attract international partnerships, collaboration, and investment. And it's also an opportunity, with humility, to offer some of Canadians' best practices to the world. COP28 is all about the diversity of perspectives and harnessing those diverse paths for the common good. And that's what we're doing. We're bringing one of the most diverse delegations to Dubai, from indigenous peoples, youth, environmental organizations, the business community, and representatives from all provinces and territories. COP27 had more than 300 indigenous delegates, likely the highest indigenous participation ever. Canada made a conscious decision because indigenous voices are critically important to climate action. We helped create platforms where indigenous representatives could share their knowledge, perspective, and experiences with global counterparts. We showcased Canada's model of collaborating with indigenous communities and conserving vast tracts of land and waters. Initiatives such as the Indigenous Guardians, which help protect ecosystem, species, and cultures for future generations. We recently funded 90 First Nation Guardian initiatives, and the whole program is about to become self-administered by First Nation, Inuit, and Métis. So the Indigenous-led solutions we actively promoted at COP27 will only grow in importance at COP28. We are collaborating with national Indigenous organization representatives to ensure First Nations, Inuit, and Métis have direct input into the planning and content at Canada's COP28 pavilion, so that Indigenous perspectives are braided through the program. Their unique perspective, stewardship, practices, knowledge, rights, and responsibilities can help teach, inspire, and improve natural balance. I have for a long time felt very strongly that Indigenous-led conservation and the full participation of Indigenous peoples is essential for meeting Canada's international climate and biodiversity targets. That if they are not engaged, we're simply not going to get there. Climate change is not going to be fixed with the flip of a switch. It is the ultimate problem of the global commons, and it will take people-to-people collaboration at home and abroad to achieve success. That brings me back to GreenPAC and why we're here this morning. We all understand the basic science of climate change. We know we must act faster and go further. We owe it to our kids and grandkids. When future generations look back, they won't be looking at political policies. They will only see Canadian solutions. They will judge us on our ability to transcend party politics and rally together in the face of an existential crisis. Nous pouvons adopter des approches différentes, mais ce n'est pas de ça dont il s'agit. Il s'agit de nous rallier autour d'un engagement honnête à l'égard de notre planète. Il s'agit d'aller de l'avant, tous et toutes ensemble, en faisant preuve de détermination, de vision et d'un intérêt réel vers un monde plus durable. Nous aspirons tous et toutes à un Canada prospère où nos enfants et nos petits-enfants pourront profiter d'une économie et d'un environnement sain et durable, non seulement aujourd'hui, mais pour de nombreuses années à venir. Et nous pouvons ensemble réaliser cette vision. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.